Honey, we need to chat.
Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome to another episode of Honey, We Need to Chat. We are a podcast.
All about communication in relationships.
Why?
We believe that you know what? I was rehearsing this. Don't even
Talk
ask.
to me.
In the bathroom before, I was like doing our intro in my head for whatever reason. And I literally said to you guys in my head, you know, it's muscle memory now. I could just say it in my sleep. And then today I messed it up.
Can't say it.
It's because you threw me off. We're all about communication in relationships. And we believe that when communication dies, bad things happen.
Absolutely. And we are just your everyday couple, navigating your everyday struggles, topics.
Yeah. Challenges, communication areas. Yeah.
And our big thing is that we just want to be doing that so you guys can see a couple do that and so you can be more confident and know that you can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. Good spiel, babe.
Thanks. See, I did rattle that off in my sleep.
Let's call you Steven Spielberg. That one came right to me. Anyway.
So that came to you. The actual intro didn't.
Anyway, well, that's who we are. So welcome this week to our chit chat episode.
And yes, I'm red.
Blair's had a change. Something has changed.
Yeah.
He is red. Do you want to explain why?
Look, we live in Victoria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've just exited winter here in Victoria, in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it gets rainy, it gets cloudy. You don't go outside much. There's no sun really. And then over the weekend, I went to Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and it is sunny.
It's aptly named.
It is Apple named. And it is sunny. And I went there. So I've just come out of a Victorian winter and gone into the sunny coast. And I am now red.
And how much
peeling.
sunscreen did you put on?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
It's really interesting that you blame the fact that it's no longer winter.
It is not my fault.
Not the fact that there was no sunscreen.
It was not my fault. I am just going out and enjoying nature, jet skiing and like snorkeling with turtles and going on islands and
having your foot destroyed by rocks.
Having my foot destroyed. All right. So I jumped off the jet skis. You've got to try and navigate through the rocks that the waves will smash you through. There's these two rocks that I'm like, cool, I'll go between these two rocks. If a wave gets me, it'll take me through. It's fine. I'll miss the dangerous parts. And then one rock that I was leading up to had all shells all over it. And I'm like, cool, I definitely don't want to hit that. And there was another rock on the other side. So I'm like, sweet. And it had no shells on it. And I'm like, all right, I've got to try and navigate through between the two. And then I looked behind me and I saw this wave coming. And I'm like, there is no way I'm going to dodge this. The wave got me, took me straight to the rocks with the shells on it. And I got cut up. And that was fun. And my legs were bleeding everywhere.
It's because you didn't put sunscreen on.
Sunscreen on, that's right.
Exactly.
The sunscreen.
That's what we've learned today.
Me from the shells on a rock and waves. But it was fun. It was a fun weekend.
Yeah. I'm glad you had fun, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Blair had his weekend in Queensland. And I had a weekend with the kids, which was actually really nice, honestly. Nice. It was quite chill.
You haven't actually shared that with me. How was your weekend?
Yeah, well, I never got asked to say.
I am hurt. Okay, I'm wounded.
Oh, you're injured. I did make a comment about how you came home from a weekend away needing to be cared for.
I'm hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and it was done to you. There's something called below and above the line thinking. And below the line is when life happens.
How was your weekend?
It was good. Yeah. It was nice. I can't really think of anything like specific. I actually kept the kids home on Monday because I wasn't feeling great. And I thought they were getting sick. But also we got a notification from my daughter's school that said that there was like 5 gastro cases and head lice. And I was just like, she's not going to school.
Yeah.
She didn't get sick. Maybe that's because we kept her home.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really lovely. We just had a chill time and I ordered DoorDash and I got a spare bag of lollies in there somehow. So I don't know if the guy was just nice or if he accidentally gave me someone else's lollies. It worked out really well.
Nice.
Yeah, really relaxed.
Awesome.
So we might do some chat jar. We've moved recording to daytime, which I think we said in the last episode. And also, I just want to say as well, this layout is not working. Get really irritated when things don't work well.
Yeah.
The layout's not working well yet, so we will iron this out. Please excuse any quality issues there may be in terms of the video if you're watching the video.
Yeah.
Or even sound if you hear the cars behind us.
I didn't hear any cars last time.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
And we had trucks going past last time, so I think we're fine.
I think it may affect it slightly. But anyway, all of that to say, we're in transition with this podcast layout. Our studio.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good question, actually, because I don't know the answer.
Oh.
What's our best inside joke and how did it start? Actually, I do have the answer. And it's not going to be relevant to anyone else. Like, no one is going to have it. Like, it won't make sense to anyone else.
So many office quotes come to mind. It's an office quote.
It's an office quote. It's probably one that we won't be able to have on the radio.
Dwight, you ignorant slut. So many people will get that.
Yeah, no, but we can't have that on the radio.
Oh, no. But so many people said it wouldn't matter for other people.
No, just for context. And we'll have to, I'm going to do another one now because this is aired on our local radio station twice a week and we can't have that
There's
sort of
certain
stuff on
things
the radio.
we have to cut out,
So the second one then, so our first one is, Dwight, you ignorant slut. We just say that all the time to each other.
If people heard us, they'd be like,
yeah.
Okay, that's seriously concerning.
The other one would be, and this is going to be for the radio, how the turntables turn.
I can't actually say it right anymore.
The Afghanistanis.
Afghanistanis for AIDS. What is it? No, the Afghanis. Afghanistanis. I love that one so much.
Awesome.
All of you, like 90% of you will know exactly what we're talking about. I'm sure.
I actually, on the airplane back, I sat next to this guy who was, he downloaded stuff on his phone to watch on the plane, and it was The Office. I'm like, you get it, man.
Yeah. Did you say anything to him?
No, I didn't.
Oh, missed opportunity. You could have met your best friend.
I was tired and I was injured.
Yeah, this injury is never going to go away.
All right, next one is, what's something I do that you really appreciate?
That I really appreciate? Oh my gosh, so many things.
List them all.
You've been making coffees for me in the morning. I really appreciate that. Your total willingness to do literally anything around the house that I need you to do, or even without me needing you to do them. Your ability to do that stuff, your willingness to learn those things, your willingness at times to laugh at me when I make very funny jokes, or the not at me, I should say with me, alongside me. Yeah. So many things. Yeah. All of those, the way you are so intentional across the board. That's something I'm so appreciative of, because you can't just make someone be that way. Like, they have to choose to be that way. And I'm so grateful that you are just that way without me having had to like encourage that out of you or like get that out of you.
I had another conversation recently, and the cool thing is like, since we've started this podcast, these conversations have been happening more and more with people that we know, because they might listen in or they might know that we're doing a podcast about this sort of stuff. And I had a conversation recently, they were saying like, oh, I need to listen to you more on your podcast. And I was thinking through that, and I try and catch myself sometimes when people say that sort of stuff, because anything that we bring to this podcast, like that is from us sharing, isn't something that we've created.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that we're just these wise people and we've figured it out and we're bringing it. It's actually like through our struggles that we've either sought out help, or it's just been given to us by people that we surrounded ourselves with, or, you know, books we've read or whatever else. And so just what you were saying then is like how, you've got to choose to be that, and you're just that way. I'm not just that way, but I chose, like that was a choice that I had to make. And it's, oh man, like, with that too, like I want to be careful because, man, I've got so far to go. You know, it's ebbs and flows. It's like sometimes I'm very intentional, sometimes I'm very not. Like it's, even just like you mentioned before, I know you were joking, but it does catch me straight away where I actually didn't ask you how your weekend was. And it hit me when we started bringing it up on this episode. I'm like, no, oh, wow, I haven't even asked you like that, man. I want to do that. I want that to be second nature for me, but I didn't. And so, yeah, it is definitely a choice, but definitely something that I've got a long way to go. But I know I've come a long way.
Yeah, but you're so right. I think what I mean is you are self-driven in that. You are you take ownership of that and you step up to that for yourself and for us. And that's something that I'm really grateful for. It's not, I don't think there's personality things and there's experience things and all the nature, nurture stuff that would play into that. But anybody can do that. Like that's not something exclusive to you having to be that way. That's so true. But you have chosen to do that. Yeah. And that's what I'm really grateful for.
Thanks. It's nice. For you, I don't know. I think I try and tell you, this is the other challenge that I'm having right now. I'm like, okay, what haven't I told you and why haven't I told it to you about appreciation? Again, through another conversation I've had recently.
Wow, you guys chat.
And we spoke about in the last episode, which we spoke about in the episode before, is about how when we go through, if we're working on some things, like why don't we share about it? But also, if I appreciate something about you, why don't I tell you? Like I think it's a big thing. Is there's one thing for me to tell you I love you, and there's another thing for me to show you that I love you, and sometimes I don't even tell you why I love you. It's just that I do, right? And so, what haven't I told you before? So, I believe I tell you often. I just appreciate how you are so curious, in terms of me and how I respond to things. It's not. Obviously, there's moments where when I respond to things, it hurts you and stuff like that too. There's that growing point. But at the same time, you still have that curiosity, but that drive to this is not okay. Like this is not, we don't have that attitude of it is what it is. We have that attitude of identifying something, working through that, but then growing in that too. That's something that you've really brought to this relationship. And I'm so thankful for that. I love your patience at home. I love your calmness. I love that you help me to get better at the things that I've shared with you that I struggle with. It's not you're over there, just do it, or stop doing it or whatever else. It's like, cool, this is now our thing, and you jump in on that too. And that's hard at the same time. Like it is a navigating thing that we do. But the fact is that I always feel safe. I never feel alone. I never feel like I have a lot of things that I work through, and sometimes I feel a lot of guilt from those things in ways I respond to the kids or whatever else. But what gives me peace is to know that it's not on my own. I think that's probably a huge thing that I really, really appreciate about you. I love that you're not perfect. I appreciate that about you. I don't sense unrealistic expectations from you. I feel realistic expectations, but the expectation is to always increase those expectations. Yeah. If that makes sense. So it's like, okay, this is where we're at. This is where we want to be. And then we're going to keep going. Yeah. It's just like, that's just that journey of life together. I love that we're both very, what's the word? Spontaneous isn't necessarily the word, impulsive, but I also hate that about us sometimes. Tom.
Yeah, I get that.
Because we're just, but at the same time, we're partners in crime. And I love that.
It's like when there's a meme I shared the other day, not on our profile. I will share it now though. Yeah. Whereas like when you've just bought $300 worth of groceries and your partner's like, takeaway, and it's the Bilbo. Did you see that one? No. It's Bilbo when he's like, no and yes. And I was like, yeah. I'll share it on my story.
That's so good. Yeah.
No, thanks.
And I think looking back, like I'm just reflecting over even through our hard years and again and I've shared many, many times about my burnout, but through that was it was us, like the whole time it was us going through that. It was us journeying through that and walking through that, and through your hard times, it's been us walking through that and journeying through that. Yeah. So I love being a part of your team.
I love that too, baby. Thank you. And if anyone looks at this, like all the tons of comments that we get on your viral reel, and they're like, if that was me, I'd be crying. Yeah. I don't cry much.
You are so emotional.
Blair's crying at our wedding in the video as I walk down the aisle, and I'm just like, but in my head, I'm so much more like emotional. And when you said calm, I was like, calm. Jeez Louise, I'm not calm. But I've been told many times that I just look calm on the outside, which I don't know how and I don't know why. Calm and angry because of my frown, but that's all right. Thanks, babe.
Yeah. Hey guys, just taking a little bit of a break right now. I wanted to share something with you so you don't miss out on. We actually have 10 spots left on our Patreon for this tier. We're about to up our tier, and which we are really, really excited about. We got 10 spots left, which is less than a cup of coffee a month. So head on over. You get bonus episodes. You get to join in on conversations over on Patreon. You get to input into the podcast. You get to bring topics. You get to get ideas, all that sort of stuff. Head over to Patreon, sign up,
be one of the OG chatters.
Be an OG chatter.
Upgrades
10 more people.
Never do it again. See you.
Cheers, guys.
Well, this is a chit chat episode, And to be really authentic, it's going to be the most chit-chatty episode ever because our plan didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, it was a great plan.
It's a great
and then
plan.
we started recording it, and then we realized actually this is going to be very hard for an actual podcast episode. So as you know, as we've shared, Amy had went through and she has done a course. She's done a life coaching course, which has been fantastic, and she's in the process of bringing out greater material for you guys. And for us as well. And so she's put together this session, which we're going to be sharing more about on that. And it's going to be part of a series. And it's great. She's done the first session, which is fantastic. We want to give that to you guys. But then we went to put it to an actual episode. And we're like, this doesn't flow the same way.
Well, it just isn't a conversation.
Yeah.
It's such a...
It's a session,
heavy,
it's a take this and put it into practice sort of stuff. And so we're going to go back to the drawing board on a better way to deliver that for you guys in an episode. But in the meantime, we're actually going to bring that to you guys on our website, so in our Patreon. And so go make sure you sign up to our website. Make sure you sign up to our Patreon, and it's going to come to you guys. A big thing that we're really working through at the moment in terms of the podcast is we've got some guest speakers coming up. We've got more guest speakers, which is fantastic. Some really, really raw episodes coming up, which is going to be amazing but heavy. And we want to be bringing more than just something you listen to. We want to be bringing things to you guys that you can actually practically do. So you can do as in a relationship, you can sit down as a couple and do it as a date night and go through this exercise to help bring awareness, I guess, to where you're at in your relationship, where you would like to be in your relationship, and things that you guys can practically do to grow into that, go forward in the direction that you're wanting to go in your relationship. Yeah. So that's where we're at with this episode. So it's been a bit of a curveball
as we go. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah. And I think, as you just alluded to, our whole heart behind this podcast is not just to be talking to you and to be listening to you and just be so separate. Like it's really about actual change in people's lives, and not even change that we're bringing about, because like we said, we're not experts at all. We're just navigating our own relationship. And we really believe that there's so much value to be had when couples are intentional in that space and they put work in. And so this is one part of that. This is our example of how we do that, our example of how we would tackle the hypothetical stories that we read about and that kind of thing. But the real goal is to see that real change. And there's so many things that we've got as goals and things we're trying to work towards to make that very tangible and impactful across the board, not just an episode that you listen to, which we love that you do. And so if you're keen to be a part of growing that and learning about that and be a part of inputting into that as we workshop and bring things in, please do join our community on Patreon, because there's such value to be had there, and that's only going to grow. And also just make sure you're following us on the platforms, because that's where we're going to be able to we would love more back and forth input into how this develops. We want there to be resources that we do have some resources, and we want there to be more that you can literally just download and use right now. We want there to be bigger processes, frameworks, courses that you can be like, we're going to commit to be doing this as a couple for whatever that series looks like. And we really want in-person workshopping, retreats, and that kind of thing down the track, where we can be with you, working alongside you, and bring people in to work on that. So there's like big things that we're really keen on, and that is happening, is ticking away in the background, but we would love for it to be something that it's a joint community kind of vibe going on. So make sure that you are, if you're interested in that stuff and that gets you excited to be a part of, please make sure that you are following us and joining us in these community things, so we can have more of that communication back and forth.
And we invest in our careers, we invest in our hobbies, let's invest in our relationships. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing above all those. So, you can have a great career, but if your marriage is breaking down, like, it's going to be robbing you of everything else.
It gets rid of the foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you have a great relationship and not a great career, well, your relationship is going to carry you through that season, and it will only be a season. So we'll just join us on that journey. We'd love to have you. Yeah.
I had a marketing call with someone random. It's so random. It was while Blair was gone. And when he came back, I was like, so I did this whole thing. He's like, you started another thing. It's just a marketing call. But I was really intrigued by some of the ways that this guy is a free like information thing that's trying to upsell, which is just a classic. But like the ways that he went about the conversation were really interesting in terms of like, oh, I can see that you're trying to like, not manipulate, but do the marketing, the hard pitch of that stuff. But there was parts of it that I was like, you're so right, because he was talking about that kind of like investing in things. And so often you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this thing, or I'm like dabbling in it, but I'm not going to invest because either I'm scared it's not going to work, or I'm not actually willing to put the time in, or I'm not actually willing to say, this is a problem and I want to, or this is a gap or whatever it is you're talking about, and I want something to fix it. There's so many reasons that you don't fully invest. And it's a very common thing. And that's why it comes up in marketing. When someone invests, you can see them actually have change. Like it's the people that invest that will actually see change in different areas, whatever it might be. And they say, like, if you've got an offering, don't underprice it, because the people that pay only a little bit for whatever course or whatever, they'll only kind of be a little bit invested. The people that actually invest into this thing that they're like, I'm putting priority here, often have better results. And I think it's the same with your relationship. Exactly what you've just said. Like if you just kind of dabble and you're like, oh yeah, well, we live together, we've got some kids, or like we're in a relationship, that's great. Cool. But your time is an investment. Your input is an investment. Sitting down, having these check-in nights, sitting down and actually working through a program like what you can download today on our website is an investment into that. And it's taking that next step and be like, oh no, it's a
free download, by the way. It's not like a cost investment.
And that'll be $7,000. Yeah, but it's a time investment is what I mean. It's an energy investment. And it's also an investment of acknowledging that this is a valuable part of life. And this is a part of life that takes work and effort for a good reason. Yeah. And I think it's something that we miss. We get so caught up in the monotony of life and in our little insecurities or whatever is going on that we don't even kind of see where we could be putting more work in to bring about that result of what we want it to look like and get really clear on that. Yeah.
Do you want to do the bridge into?
Yeah, which is a part of what this program is. And we'll go through it in the Patreon. We'll step through this activity. It's called the balancing wheel. So as we've talked about, having a real clarity around what you want in a space is really important for helping you borrow some of that almost like motivation, emotion to motivate you in that area. It's so easy to just be like, I don't know what I want. And so in the activity, there's 8 different areas that we're going to work on and have a little look at to help us identify what to work on as a starting point. But the first one is communication. So when we were doing the coaching thing the other day, I got you to kind of visualize what it would feel like in certain things that you're kind of working towards. And it's a really impactful experience. How did that feel for you when you did that?
Oh, I loved it. I think it really helped me to visualize what I wanted to work towards. Because up until that point, it was kind of like I was going through the motions and I knew I wanted things to change. I knew I wanted things to improve, but I didn't know to what. Does that make sense? It's sort of like this, it just brought clarity. It's like, oh no, this is what I want to change into, not just change in general. Actually, I do have aspirations. I do have goals in my parenting, in my work life, in my family life, in my fun life, like my hobbies. I do have goals. So it helps me to narrow it down, and then it helps me to see what was actually achievable.
Yeah. It helps you borrow the feelings of what you want.
Yeah.
And like we talked about as well, when you get really clear on what you want, that's the best way, rather than what you don't want.
Yeah.
That's the best way to get a clear plan and strategy going forward. And there's so many reasons why that works, but it's an activity we don't do often. I don't think we sit there and really visualize and feel and picture and everything, what it would be like to have it be the way we want it to be.
Yeah.
So these categories obviously have a lot of things underneath them. And when you're working through it, list and read and actually think about each of the prompting questions, because they are important to just kind of stretch how you're thinking about it. But for now, I was thinking, when you're dealing with these topics in relationship, one good way of addressing it is, what would we want in that space? So in terms of communication, what do you think communication in a 10 out of 10 communication would look like? in a relationship or in your relationship? Like, what would you want your communication in a relationship to be if it was 10 out of 10?
Yeah. So straight off the top of my head, I would picture a 10 out of 10 relationship be like when I would speak to you, I knew the way that you received information or feedback or whatever else, and I spoke to the way that you received rather than me just speaking in the way that I process.
Yeah.
So I just knew, that's a 10 out of 10 for me. Is like I actually learnt how you receive.
Yeah.
I'd speak to that.
Yeah, I love that. I think as well, like being able to gently raise whatever needs to be raised, not in the moment necessarily, but like within that span of time, like within a reasonable time would be something for me.
Yeah.
Like just not having to sit on it and dwell on it or avoid it or like let it build into something bigger. Being like, oh, that didn't sit right with me, or we need to work on this. And then being able to approach you and just being like, I just wanted to talk about that thing that went down. It made me feel this way, or it didn't sit right in this way. What do you think we can do to work on that sort of thing? Rather than it becoming like a roadblock between us. Yeah. That ties into what we did last week with getting that visualization in the coaching. Was it last week? No, the week before. That ties into that coaching chit chat that we did. We dived really into a coaching session on our Patreon, which was really fascinating.
It was so impactful and so helpful.
Yeah. And it was a lot of what we've just done, which is thinking about what it is that you want, and if things could look the way that you want it to, how would that be? How would it taste? How would it smell? How would, like, down to that kind of detail. And that's what we're going to be doing a little bit more in this next Patreon, in this exercise. And what you guys can do this week, if you set aside a night, download the worksheet and just work through it together as a couple. There are a couple really important parts of it. And one of them is when you're addressing your relationship, it's not about going in and being like, what can my partner do better? Or having that as a focus at all. It's about what you can do, identifying the parts of your ownership of this. So have that as your context when you are working through this together, and also have a safety kind of like vibe as your context as you're working through it together too. Like, this is a safe space. It's a space that we're wanting to be closer together. It's a space where we want to hear our partner, and we also want to be neutral enough that we can actually have the conversation. So if you find as you're working through the worksheet that it's just getting too tense or too much, have set aside before you even start that this is safe. And if you're feeling like it's too much, we can take a break and we can come back to it later, because this is to bring us closer together. It is not to be an opportunity to pinpoint what's going wrong, what the other person is doing.
And I recommend making it fun. Get lollies, get your chocolates, make it nice and fun. So it's like when you have that extra thing in there too, it's just, it's harder to be angry when you have lollies.
Yeah. And have it be, it's like, we're doing this to like actually see change. We're doing this as like a hopeful thing.
Be excited about it.
Yeah. It's not something to be like, oh, we're in a really bad place. Every couple, every relationship, every person as an individual is out of balance in some way. It is normal for there to be parts as you go through the activity. It's normal for there to be segments of your life that's not functioning the way you would ideally have it function. And that's nothing to get low about. That's actually just to inform you, oh, maybe I'll put more effort into focusing on this. So it should be a really uplifting, encouraging activity. And we hope that it's a really good check-in for you guys. Hopefully it's really practical and you get a lot of value from it. And if you want to see it playing out, hop on over to our Patreon and you will see us work on it together.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Love that.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Good chat.
See ya.
Bye.